Hey YouTubers, good morning, Robb. Got a good video this morning. No joke. No joking around. It's kind of a serious video. Been thinking about this for a long time. You know, I have a variety channel, 17, 18 years, once a week, all sorts of subjects. Basically about how to do things, fix problems, have fun. Today, I thought we'd talk about a big problem. And what do I think are solutions for it? I think one of the biggest problems there is in the world is nuclear weapons. Oh God, I know you're saying, oh God, it's going to be one of those. There isn't anything bigger than a nuclear war between major powers. And not much has changed since the very beginning of when we had nuclear weapons. Almost all of us know about nuclear winter. If all the bombs go off, how all of the earth will be, and dust and ash will be pushed in the atmosphere, and you have radioactive fallout, and it'll be dark, be hard to grow crops for years and years. You also have the ozone layer that will be destroyed, so maybe 70% of it will be gone. So if you're outside, plants and animals will be difficult to survive for years and years. Then you got the radiation. So it's very unlikely very many people at all will survive. It's kind of a permanent thing. Most of our problems are temporary. They're bad, they're terrible, but if we survive them, we can live for another day. Nuclear warfare has almost happened twice. We've had incidents where there was a technical glitch and the people who were doing their job didn't do it. They should have pressed the button because everything said that they were being attacked. The world would have ended. And my mother always said things happen in threes. I don't want to wait for the third time. And well, aren't there smarter people than me? Of course there are. I'm not the smartest person in the room. There's a lot more brighter bulbs in the apartment than me. But the smartest people in the world have got us to where we are today. And I don't see anybody talking about this subject, about coming up with solutions. What are the solutions? Years ago, the atomic scientists, really smart people, they came up with something called the atomic clock. It was like 12 minutes to midnight before the world would end from nuclear conflagration, from being destroyed with radiation, nuclear winter. Well, nowadays, most people, they don't wear a watch. You have little children that can't tell time. Nobody's scared of an atomic clock. So I think it's 68 seconds to midnight. So, I mean, it was a nice try. It's good to keep people aware and talking about the subject. But a clock just didn't do it. So I've been thinking about this. I've got 3 ideas. And I'm just spitballing here. What the hell do I know? I make sandwich toaster videos. And, you know, how to put lead in a mechanical pencil. I'm being serious. I should be serious. I shouldn't be joking about this. But the first idea is to create a lot more awareness of the situation and take it out of the hands of the people that are, I think, not wanting us to talk about it. If you think about it, there's only about like a dozen different countries around the world that have nuclear weapons or have weapons stored on their soil from other countries. The rest of them, they're not involved with this crap. And if the bombs go off, they're going to be screwed just like everybody else. It's like you're on a bus and there's 2 people fighting and they've got cans of bear spray, and all of a sudden they start spraying it. Well, maybe their argument was justified, but everybody else on the bus is screwed because now they're inhaling the bear spray too. So it's not right for all these other countries. If you want to kill yourself and blow yourself to smithereens, fine, but how come everybody else has to die too? I think we haven't taken advantage of that unfairness and unjust situation. We put, and I say we because I'm in an atomic country that has thousands of nuclear warheads. we should use other countries that don't have nuclear weapons to help bring attention and awareness. How do we do that? I think, first of all, we would encourage them to impose a fee on every tourist that comes to their country from an atomic country, maybe just something small, $100. Or if they have a ship or a plane that's registered in an atomic country, go to their port or airport, they have to pay a fee. And they could use that money to find ways to stop nuclear weapons and bring awareness to the problem. Also, to help fund politicians who are willing to make nuclear disarmament part of their political platform. So it wouldn't be costing them anything. They would be gaining funds, and they could help start working on the problem that could destroy them along with everybody else. Now, another thing you could do, there's a lot of rich people that fly on airplanes. They could give a rat's ass if they have to pay $100. Big companies, they can afford to pay a fee if their plane or ship goes to a port. But you know what rich people don't like is being told no. What if these countries, they have tourist attractions? They go to some country, there's 10 beaches. Well, one of those beaches they can't go to. That's only for people from non-atomic countries. Can you imagine that? You're a rich person, you fly off to some country, you got more money than God, and you get there and there's people from Bulgaria on that beach, but they won't let you. People from Ghana and Ethiopia and the Philippines, well, they're not atomic countries. They get to go to that beach, you don't. And you flew halfway around the world and you can't go anywhere you want because your country is an atomic country. I think it would help bring awareness to the situation in ways that hasn't been done before. And we've never really focused on the fact that there's other countries are going to be destroyed because of maybe somebody in the State Department has some sort of territorial, religious, historical grievance against some other country, and now they're focusing on ways that they can use our military to settle some old scores. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing we could do to help encourage other countries to get in a fight because they're in this too. So nobody's mentioned this idea. I thought it was a good one. Second thing is, I have noticed a lot of people want to go to war. I always said one of the best ways to stop a war is to send all the people that want to go to war with their families to the front lines. Most of this crap would stop overnight. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a defensive war. I'm happy that I live in a country that has 400 million registered legal handguns and pistols and rifles and ammunition. But there's a lot of people always saying we should go to war, we should go to war. Whenever they say that, they're never going to war. It's working class people are going to that war, dying for them. So what makes me even more mad is when they start talking about limited nuclear warfare. One of the first times in my life I was ever actually depressed for days, I was in 11th grade. I read a book in the school library. It's called Limited Nuclear Warfare by Henry Kissinger. I would see him on this comedy show on TV laughing, and then I read his book about how he is promoting a limited nuclear warfare. Half the wars ever fought they thought were going to be over in a month, and they ended up killing millions of people and lasted for years. I don't believe in that concept of limited nuclear warfare. I think it could very easily lead to a limited amount of time you have left on planet Earth. So these people that think that some reason they could have a limited war and think that they should be sending nuclear weapons to places that are hotspots of violence and warfare, I have to wonder if they don't know something we don't. I have always heard that there are bunkers for people in the government and the military. If something really bad happens, they can go down and live for like 10 years. Maybe they got a mini nuclear power plant and ways to grow food or whatever. And I just think that there's people who are thinking if something really bad happens, they're off to the bunker. We don't have a bunker. I think it would be good to know how many bunkers we have, how many people can go in them, and who's on that list. If the people on that list that are going to the bunker are out there in public saying, yeah, we should have a nuclear war, or we should do things that might lead to a nuclear war, and they know that if they get the word, they can be in their bunker in a half an hour where everybody else fries. I think we need to know who is on that list of being in the bunker. And we also need to know how many people in the government have dual passports that really aren't on our side. So who is on the list of going to the bunker? You know, if you think you're going to survive, you're going to be putting all the rest of us in harm's way. And I think we should shed a light on that situation. The third thing is related to war in general. I was thinking about what's another way to help end nuclear warfare, and I couldn't come up with anything that sounded halfway as good as the first two. Bringing awareness to it and making sure that people clamoring for it and promoting it don't have an edge and think they can hide out, because we were hiding in our home for 2 years during COVID. If people thought that they could hide in a bunker for 10 years and get rid of their ideological enemies or religious enemies or territorial enemies, you would have people willing to hide in a bunker for 10 years if they thought when they came out of that bunker all their enemies would be gone and they could have a brand new world start over. You know, fuck these people and the horse they rode in on. So what's the third thing? Third thing is most people don't want war. Most people, if they see there's a tiny sliver of hope, things are getting better, if not better, at least not getting worse, they don't want to go to war. So what can we do to make things better? I think one thing we could do is to encourage people every day when they wake up in the morning is what can they do to make the world a better place? What can they do to make their community a better place, their family a better family, themselves a better person? What are ways that we could make our community better? What if there was a reward system for people that came up with an idea that when implemented actually made the community a better idea? And by rewarding that person, encourage others to do the same thing. If you have people, all they do is complain about things and are full of pessimism and negativity, and they're not interested in getting anything done or making anything better, they're just focusing on past problems and grievances. If you have people switch their way of thinking into thinking about how can we make things better, how can we get to the road of yes instead of the road to no, and then rewarding them, it would be difficult and you couldn't use it for every situation, but I imagine there's people out there that have a lot of knowledge about their specific situation, and they have things that they could let us know about where we could improve a situation and make things better for everybody. Sometimes it may not be changing anything. Maybe it's just a way to preserve what is already precious. Maybe it's a way of just making people realize what are the treasures they possess is right in front of them that they should be taking advantage of and being thankful for. And just having a change of attitude for all the blessings they have. You know, it's thinking about every day, what are ways to make things better? And finding ways to reward those people. You could implement it in small ways to see how it works. That's the key, is do what works. So often we don't do what works. We do what feels good or what we think might be better or what we want to be better, but we have no evidence. If people come up with an idea, a plan for something better in the community, you could maybe try it in a small way, in a small community, and then try it maybe in larger communities or more diverse communities and see what happens. And if over time it shows to be something that is actually positive, then you could implement it throughout the country or maybe the world, who knows. So get people's mind to switch over to thinking about problems in more about solutions. What are ways to make the day better, the world better, the community better? Just flipping that switch in your brain, in your mind, and then if things start getting better, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard to get people to sign up and put on a uniform and go kill people when things are doing fine everywhere. And that's what we want. We want things doing better everywhere. And we need to start coming up with ways to get people to think differently and working on ways that they can make things better for themselves, their families and communities and country. And we need to encourage the peacemakers. I have been bitter, so bitter about the war that's going on in Ukraine and Russia. When the Soviet Union, when the communism fell in '89, I was so happy. The Cold War was terrible. I was so thankful we would be able to actually be friends with the Soviet and with the Russians. I like Russian people. I like Ukrainian people. I like every people like me. I like them back. If the only people I hate are the people who hate me. It was a shame we lost that opportunity to have a friendship with Soviet Union, with the Russians, and it makes me bitter because I think there are people in our government that have a grudge against the country and the people, and just they were not peacemakers. They were just focused on their grievances and their baggage that they brought with them from generations, maybe. It's just, and then you have people who are making money off the situation in the military-industrial complex. So it's a complex situation, and I make sandwich toaster videos, but we need to bring attention and awareness to how terrible and awful nuclear warfare is going to be, because a lot of people, they're inundated constantly with doom and gloom, and they don't need another thing to think about, especially one like this, which would be the end of everything. And I can understand fully why anyone would want to turn this off and not want to think about it. But if there's things you can do, like one of them is to create more awareness by encouraging people who live in other countries that aren't atomic countries to make people who are in atomic countries pay a price, and use that money to help encourage politicians who are willing to come up with solutions and implement them, and bring awareness to the situation, and find out who are the people on the list that get to go into the bunker while the rest of us fry. I really want to know that. And finally, have a program that is self-directed and self-owned and self-implemented, where everybody on the planet can just wake up and think to themselves, what can they do to make the world a better place today? What can we do to not have that third situation come where somebody is going to press that button and the world's going to end? We don't need this anymore. I'm making a video that could reach everybody on the planet. That didn't exist 20 years ago. The world's changed. We're tired of people telling us we need to go to war. Fuck those people. They should go to the front lines with their families. I'm not saying you shouldn't defend yourself. I'm happy I have a strong military. I'm happy we've got 400 million firearms in my country with ammunition to go along with it. So I think it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, we need to make a change, because unless I get to go in that bunker for 10 years with the other people, we need to make some changes. And these are just ideas I'm spitballing. I'm asking you guys, if and gals, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, what are your ideas? What can we do? What can we do? So yeah, this is a very unusual video for me. On the way it isn't, because I'm always trying to come up with different things like that I think about, because it's a variety channel, which is why I don't have that many people that watch, because They didn't sign up for how to get rid of nuclear weapon videos. They wanted more sandwich toaster videos. So guys and gals, put your thinking cap on, see what you think. And if you like this idea, this video, share it with other people. Who knows, we might start having rich people when they go to Sri Lanka and Ceylon to pay an extra fee because they came from the United States or China or Russia or Italy or France or the UK or Israel or India or China or all these countries. Even the Netherlands have nuclear weapons stored on their land. So yeah, all the atomic countries, I think the people should pay a price if they go to a non-atomic country. I think we should start there. Let's see what happens. See you out there.